Let's give it a whirl, folks. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this energy saving workshop. I'm Beth Callisted with the City of Northfield, and we're excited to offer this workshop with our local partner, Growing Up Healthy, and statewide partners, Citizens Utility Board, or CUB, and the Center for Energy and Environment, CEE. There we go. All right, a few quick housekeeping items as we get started. The workshop is being recorded to be able to be shared on our city's YouTube channel and Northfield Public Broadcasting. We ask that participants please mute yourselves during the presentation. You are welcome to type questions in the chat, raise a virtual hand, or unmute when you'd like to ask a question, and we'll call on you. And there'll be additional time for questions and answers after the presentations. So just for a quick overview of what we'll cover tonight, we'll do some introductions of the various partners that are offering this workshop tonight, review a little bit around help with bills and finances. We will then talk about home energy use and saving tips, and then take any questions that people might have. So I'll get started with the City of Northfield. The city is offering this workshop as part of the educational piece of our climate action plan. We have a lot more information on our website about sustainability and energy in particular. And so you can access that information by going to the city's website here, ci.northfield.mn.us. And then you can do /energy, or you can navigate to the home page of the city website and click through sustainability and energy. You're also welcome to either email me or call me directly, and I'll help try to answer any questions that you may have. And now I will pass the microphone to my colleague Jennifer Barrientos with Growing Up Healthy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jen Barrientos. I work with Growing Up Healthy. Growing Up Healthy is a healthy community initiative supported program. We are constantly in the neighborhoods that we work with, just listening to any barriers that families are facing at the moment and trying to help them out in any which way that we can. We also serve as like a bridge between families and certain organizations to be able to communicate back and forth.
Hi there, I'm Carmen Carruthers. I'm the Outreach Director for the Citizens Utility Board of Minnesota. And we are a nonprofit independent consumer advocate on energy issues for Minnesota's residential and small business consumers. So we do work at the state level trying to influence policy and getting involved in legislature when it affects energy consumers. And then we also give a variety of educational talks, of which one is tonight, and we give free energy bill consultations with the goals of trying to help people understand their energy options, ways to reduce their energy bills, and get connected with clean energy if that's something that they're interested in. So I look forward to talking with you more later this evening.
Hey everyone, my name is Matthew Douglas May. I work for the Center for Energy and Environment. And at CEE, our mission is to find and implement the best energy efficiency solutions to improve the economy and protect the environment. And we do this in a number of ways. We do research on emerging technologies and different ways to improve energy efficiency in the Midwest. We also run programs to help communities, families, and businesses help save energy. I'll talk about a couple of those programs tonight. And then we also do consulting with city governments. We work at the state government to push energy policy forward, and have a lending department to help make energy efficiency improvements more accessible to residential and business customers.
Okay, so we're going to start tonight's talking about energy bills and the importance of those. So kind of why all the content we're going to give later on is really relevant. So when you think of your energy bills, it's just one piece of your budget. And we feel like, you know, it really kind of fits, whoops, let me go back. It fits into the housing category. It's really part of our housing costs. So whether you rent or own your home, utility costs are built into those expenses that you're spending on your home. So if you rent, you might have rent, insurance, and utilities separate or included as your housing costs. When you're owning a home, you have mortgage, insurance, taxes, and utilities all kind of combined. But the point being that we pay for our bills one way or the other. Either it's included in our rent or it's a separate bill. And the amount that we pay varies on a number of factors, kind of related to how our household is set up and the type of housing we're in. So the size of a home, the age of the home, the number of occupants, the schedules of those occupants, are they home all day? Are they gone all day? All of these things factor into how much we end up paying on our energy bills and how much energy we're consuming. So typically, an average kind of household in Minnesota spends around 3 to 4% of their household budget on energy. But for some households, this can be significantly more. When it gets to be like 6% or higher, we call that an energy burden, meaning that it is high enough that it's impacting other parts of our household needs, that people have to start choosing between paying energy bills and having to pay other essential things. So one of the goals when we give talks like this is helping people get into more of that reasonable range, so they're not paying more than 6% on a bill, and helping you get down to be more efficient. And if you are struggling, knowing about assistance to help bring that cost down for your household. We can go on to the next slide, please. So speaking of help with bills, the COVID pandemic has affected a lot of households in different ways. And we've noticed in our interaction with consumers across the state that there's a lot of folks who previously had never experienced trouble paying bills, that all of a sudden were thrown into a situation where they were having a hard time keeping up. And so it's really important to spread the word about programs that exist. And in response to the economic hardship happening across the country and in our state, there's been some recent changes made to a federal program called the Energy Assistance Program. And so at the state level, the income guidelines have expanded. Typically, it's the guideline is 50% of state median income, but until September 1st of this year, it's been increased to be 60%, meaning that about 100,000 more households in Minnesota are eligible for this program than previously were. So a really nice way of helping people who were kind of maybe on that line, just not eligible, actually getting within that umbrella and be able to get some help. And as you can see from this table, the guidelines are based on household size. So we have on the table what your 3-month maximum would have to be for a household based on those sizes. And households can exceed 7. It just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you can reach out to us if you want a link to know if you have a bigger household than that. And the annual income is a nice kind of benchmark for you to kind of imagine what that equates to on an annual basis. The energy assistance is available to renters and homeowners. It can be used for utility bills, so kind of the typical electric or natural gas bills. It can also be used for delivered fuel. So if you happen to have propane or heating oil to heat your home, it can be used for those expenses too. And there's actually kind of 2 sources of funding where you can get what's kind of a typical grant that often, if you apply in the fall, gets allocated for the whole year, or at any point in time that you apply for the grant. But then there's also crisis funding, a special source of funding that when people are falling behind and in danger of getting shut off, is additional funding that can be available to you. So we've put the contact information for the 2 organizations that administer energy assistance for Northfield residents. So the Three Rivers Community Action Group does it for Rice County residents. And then if you happen to be a Dakota County resident, you would contact the Scott Carver Dakota Community Action. Applications are typically due May 31st, but they were extended this year due to COVID. So people have until September 1 to apply for those. The funds are available first come, first basis. So we encourage people to, apply as soon as you think you might, if you find out you're eligible, please apply. These are really useful funds to help you get caught up on bills. If you go on to the next slide, one of the really important things to note is Excel is actually resuming shutoffs beginning August 2nd. Notices are being sent out this month if you're behind on your bills. So that's a really important kind of impetus to get these energy applications submitted. And in addition, if you're eligible for energy assistance, it opens the door to some other really important programs. So Xcel Energy offers additional discounts for their electricity customers with a program called Power On. And it also involves arrears forgiveness program. So if you're behind on your bills, you can get up to 50% of your debt forgiven, and then you go on a payment plan. And as long as you stick to that, then you are eligible to get that debt forgiven. They also participate with their gas customers, of which Northfield has both electricity and gas, through the gas affordability program. It's a GAP for short is the acronym. Both of those programs are administered through an organization called Energy Sense, and we have their 800 number here listed. So if you're eligible for energy assistance, also contact Energy Sense to get signed up for these other two programs. They'll be very helpful in helping you get caught up on bills and keep your bills manageable, because these programs are aimed at keeping you with outside that energy burden category. They're trying to match the cost of this essential energy to your income level. Additional sources of funding to explore are the Rent Help MN funding sources that just became available in the last month or two. Right now, this is for folks who rent, and it can also be used towards utility bills as well. They're currently taking applications for people who are behind on their rent, but they will be also taking applications for people who need assistance going forward. So definitely reach out to them. It's a good time, even if you're not behind on rent, to get your information put together so you're ready to submit that application when they open it up to all renters needing help going forward. You can reach out for county assistance, Salvation Army Heat Share. Sometimes local social service agencies, such as groups that do food banks and food shelves, will have help for kind of one-off expenses, such as a energy bill that's behind. Local houses of worship will sometimes provide assistance to community members, or if you happen to be a student, it's worthwhile to reach out to student services and to see if they have any funds available to help as well. We can go on to the next slide, please. And then we also wanted to mention Excel is also providing another debt relief program, which is not based on income. So where Power On in the gas affordability program, you need to also be eligible for energy assistance. They have this new program called the Payment Plan Credit Program. And they are reaching out to eligible customers. So if you're eligible for this, Excel would have they probably may have done all three things. If they have your email, they may have emailed you, called you, or sent you a letter. And they are helping residential consumers who are behind between $1,000 and $4,000 on their bills, and reducing that debt up to 75%. Again, if people establish and stick to a payment plan. So another really helpful program for people who've fallen behind during these unusual times. Also want to mention, even though you're probably thinking much more about air conditioning than heat right now, if you happen to be an electric heat customer, Excel has special rates for electric heating. So really worthwhile to look into it if it's your primary heat source, because electricity tends to be more expensive, more expensive way of heating your home. And the discounts provided by Excel are very helpful. They're approximately 30% off the normal electric rate if you have electric heat. And in addition, your primary source of heat is not subject to sales tax in Minnesota. So if you have natural gas, it's automatically that sales tax is removed. But if you have electric heat, it isn't always an automatic thing, because you need to tell the utility company that you have electric heat, and that can save you another 6.8% plus, depending on what your local sales tax rate is. Then we'll go on to the next slide. And I'll turn it over to Matthew for some great energy efficiency discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen. Yeah, so I'll be talking a little bit about energy efficiency in general, and then some specific tips that we can all do to reduce our energy consumption and make our homes more comfortable. So yeah, just to start here, the typical energy use in a home in Minnesota is kind of broken down as you see here. So water heating makes up about 15% of a bill. Appliances like your refrigerator, laundry machine, washing machine make up another 15%. Electronics and lights, so your, all the lights, TVs, computers make up another 15%. And then over half of a home's energy usage, so 55%, go towards heating and air conditioning. So in a little bit, when I'm talking about different energy saving tips, thinking about the ones that impact how you heat and cool your home will be the most effective, because that's the largest part of your bill. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, and then in Minnesota, where it gets very, very cold, about 400,000 homes have inadequate insulation. So a big reason for that is before 1976, there was no energy code in building code in Minnesota. So a lot of homes built before this time are lacking sufficient insulation in the walls and also the attic. So insulation is a really cost-effective way to lower your bills permanently. And there's a pretty big opportunity in Minnesota for this. So something to think about for your house. Next slide. And yeah, we just thinking about the different benefits of energy efficiency. The first one that a lot of folks think of are the financial benefits. Obviously, if you use less energy, you'll pay less, which is awesome. But there are a couple more. Increased comfort is a huge benefit. When your home is more airtight and it keeps the heating and cooling that you're putting in your home, it also makes it a lot more comfortable. So not only will you get a nice bump on your bill every month, but every minute you're living in the house, it can make it more pleasant. And then the last benefit, or another benefit, would just be reducing impact on the environment. The energy we don't use is the cleanest energy there is. So a great way to reduce carbon footprint as well. All right, so since we're about ready for summertime here, we'll start with some summer energy saving tips. Like I mentioned, controlling the temperature and managing your thermostat is the best way, most significant way to save energy. So as opposed to keeping your thermostat at 74, for example, you could try 78 and using fans to cool yourself in the rooms where you're in. The reason for this is when a fan is blowing on a human, we feel about 4 to 6 degrees cooler than the actual air temperature. So we can, by supplementing our cooling with fans, it saves a lot of energy because air conditioners use a lot more energy than fans do. But we can achieve the same level of comfort usually. So that's something to play around with. Also in the summertime, if you are gone during the day, turning your air conditioning off, or if you have a programmable thermostat, turning it down up to 8 degrees or 10 degrees will save energy while you're gone as well. Since the sun is, obviously really hot, shutting shades and curtains and blinds is a great way to keep your home cool and manage temperature inside. Likewise, in the cool evenings and mornings we have in Minnesota, opening the windows is a great way to cool your home naturally. If you have central air conditioning, making sure that the condenser on the outside of your home is free of debris and can pull air in properly will help save a little bit of energy and extend the lifespan of your air conditioning system. And then if you use window air conditioners, I recommend using a material called rope caulk. It's like a putty material. that you can shove in the cracks around the air conditioning unit where it meets the window. This is a great way to prevent the cold air you're putting in the room from escaping through those cracks. And then the last tip for the summer is if you do use a dehumidifier in the basement, for example, we recommend keeping it at 55% relative humidity. 60% and above is where mildew can start growing, and below 50%, you're kind of using a lot of extra electricity to dehumidify the room. So 55 is the sweet spot. All right, next slide. Thanks. And yeah, even though we're, hopefully don't have to think about winter for a while here are some good tips to implement when it does get cold again. So again, thermostat is the best tool you have in your house. So we recommend keeping it at around 68 degrees or what is comfortable for you. And setbacks in the winter time are especially impactful. So when you're sleeping or away, reducing the thermostat up to 10 degrees will save approximately 10%. So for example, if you turn your thermostat down 5 degrees at night and then 10 degrees while you're at work during the day, that would save you a total of 15%, basically 1% for every degree setback. So that can be a pretty meaningful drop in your bills. That being said, we don't recommend keeping the house lower than 55% just because of the issue of pipes freezing and other damage that can happen to a house if it gets too cold. Using the sun in the wintertime is great. So opening those blinds to south and west facing windows can help get some of that warm sunlight into the house. Putting on some layers instead of turning up the thermostat is always an easy thing to try. And then avoiding space heaters is a really important one for reducing electricity costs in the wintertime. Little portable electric space heaters cost about 3 to 4 times more to run than if you just used your natural gas furnace or boiler to heat your home. So if you find yourself using space heaters for more than like 20 minutes, it would probably save you money to turn up the thermostat like 1 degree and try to manage your comfort with your central heating system. All right. And then just a couple more smaller things you can do to reduce some energy usage. The vampire loads, which we call them, are any of the electronics in your house that use remote controls. So like your television, gaming consoles, cable boxes, even when they're off or like on sleep mode, they still pull some electricity constantly. So either unplugging those when you're not using them or putting them on a smart power strip that can manage that for you can help reduce some of that phantom draw. LED light bulbs are awesome. They use about 6 times less energy than an incandescent light bulb. So switching over to LEDs can pretty meaningfully reduce electricity usage. And then using your appliances efficiently helps too. So running your dishwasher when it's full and turning off the heated drying setting. Also running your laundry machine on full and washing with cold water can help reduce usage there. Yeah, and then I'm gonna pass it over to Jen to talk about a couple ways to weatherize your home and make it more comfortable.
Thanks, Matthew. Like Matthew said, winter's a long ways away, but this is the time to start prepping your home instead of doing it when it's cold outside. Some things you can think about is using caulking around the windows in case there's any cracks. Just make sure you seal those. It can be windows, doors, ceilings. It just depends what your home looks like. Make sure you seal those holes. Using window film is another good way to keep the breeze from coming in from the windows. Like Matthew said, opening the shades. A few other things. It depends where you're living, but especially with mobile homes, using expanding foam, if there are any holes, especially on the bottom part of your walls, and any conjunctions. Heat tape is a really good thing to use in your um, water pipes. There are a couple different types of heat tape, and you can, if you read the instructions on the heat tape, it'll tell you how to use it. But some homes, especially mobile homes, have been keeping the water faucet on so that the sorry the water pipe doesn't freeze when you're using the heat tape, and making sure that it is working right before winter hits, when the weather starts dropping a little bit. That is a really good way to save some energy, save some water, by doing so, because defrosting the pipes can become pretty hard and time consuming.
Matthew, you're muted.
Thank you. Classic. So yeah, thanks, Jen. Prepping mobile homes, especially for winter, is really important. So yeah, now we'll talk about a few different programs that are available to connect you with energy experts who can help kind of give you more tailored solutions and ideas for saving energy, but also resolving any issues with your home. So this first program here is the Home Energy Squad, which CEE runs and I'm a part of. And yeah, this program is designed to provide personalized solutions for homes and help reduce energy bills. So there's kind of 3 different visit types that we offer. The first one is a virtual visit. It's kind of like a preliminary first step where we will just talk on the phone or over a video call for about 30 minutes to answer any questions you have about your home, go over any home improvement plans you might have, or also talk about any issues you're having, like comfort issues or ice dams, and try to figure out what the best path forward is to resolve those issues. And that could look like doing an in-person visit with us, which I'll talk about in a sec, or we can also connect you with other resources like energy assistance, or other resources we've talked about on this presentation today. Next slide, please. And then the other 2 types of visits we offer are in person. So after a virtual visit, we can do one of these, or you can go straight to coming out to your house. And the first type of visit is on the left here, the energy saver visit. This is best for newer homes built after 2000, and is also really good for renters who have less control over like the insulation and heating systems. In these visits, we install energy saving products, which are help reduce your bill right away. So we replace all incandescent light bulbs with LED light bulbs. We have high efficiency shower heads and faucet aerators we'll install. We can weather strip any doors to the outside to stop air leaks, and then install a programmable thermostat to help manage temperature in the house. Also in these visits, we'll do a quick inspection of the insulation just to give you an idea of where you're at for insulation, and take a look at the water heater and furnace or boiler, and make sure we get you connected with the resources you need to move forward. These visits are free for families that qualify based on income, or between $40 and $70, depending on the city you live in. In the other type of visit we offer is a little more in-depth. So this is best for homes built before 2000, especially homes built before 1976, before energy code was in place. Or people just interested in more detailed info on their home. In these visits, we install all those energy saving products, which are all included in the visit cost. We also perform a blower door test where we basically depressurize the house to identify any air leaks and give recommendations based on that. We do inspections of the attic and wall insulation with an infrared camera, and provide safety tests on the home's heating system and water heater. Everything we find goes into a report in these visits, kind of prioritized by which improvements will save the most on your bill and then improve your problems or any issues you're having. And we also have a follow-up service to help connect with contractors and other resources. And these visits are also free for income qualifying families, or range between $50 and $100, depending on the city you live in. And I see we had a quick question. Let me just open my chat here. Yeah, great question, Rich. So with the infrared camera, we kind of use that as an educational tool. So we're still able to make the same recommendations in like the spring and the fall when there isn't enough temperature difference to get a really clear infrared image. But in the middle of summer and also the winter, all we need is a 20-degree temperature difference between the attic and the inside of the house to get some pretty clear infrared images. So yeah, so it's definitely possible throughout the year. Clearest in the winter, just because we have like 60-degree plus temperature differences, but still possible throughout the year. All right. So yeah, we can move on to the next slide. So if you're interested in talking with us more about your home and digging into the details of ways to save energy, give us a call or visit us online, and we'd love to talk with you.
Yeah, also, the Citizens Utility Board provides energy bill consultations, so it's a nice complement to the Home Energy Squad, where we'll go over your bills with you. We ask a lot of questions about how your household operates, so we can provide unique suggestions customized to your particular situation. And so you can talk about any energy related issue you might have. We're also constantly screening to see if you would be a good candidate for a home energy audit. So for example, if we find out when your home was built, how many people live in it, and your bills seem a little higher than they should be, we're going to probably suggest that an audit would be a great next step to figure out if there's some physical improvements that would be useful to find out about with your home. When we give these consultations, they take about 30 minutes. We're currently doing them over the phone or via video conferencing. We'll be starting to do them in person soon as well. So if you're interested in inviting us to do that, we're happy to do that. We found if folks implement our suggestions, the average household would save about $150 in that first year. So we feel like it's a pretty good use of 30 minutes. You get a lot of good insight into your usage. And we have two virtual consultation times coming up, June 9th from 4 to 6 and June 22nd from 11 to 1. You can go to our website, cubminnesota.org. I'm sorry, it's misspelled. I'll put it in the chat. We should have caught that sooner. To sign up, and you just need to provide us a copy of your energy bill ahead of time, and then we will go over it with you and provide a lot of great ideas. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, and with that, we'd love to open it up to any questions you might have. So feel free to continue to ask them in the chat or unmute yourself. We're happy to take any questions you may have.
Carmen, I have a quick question. Where are some of the areas when you're doing the utility bill reviews that you find savings for people?
Yeah, so one of the questions, kind of similar to, Matthew's tip, was temperature setting. That's our number one recommendation. So one of the questions we're going to ask folks is, in the wintertime, what do you have your thermostat set at? In the summertime, what do you have your thermostat set at? And there's usually opportunities to tweak that a little bit. So encouraging people to either use a programmable thermostat and set it, or if you have just a regular, traditional thermostat, just remembering to turn it up and turn it down. For folks who have a lot of like variation in their schedules, which a lot of us do, that's when like a smart thermostat can really be worthwhile, because it can kind of change on the fly based on your schedule changing, or you can be changing it remotely. So like if you thought you're going to be home at 6 and you're not going to be home till 7, you can make an adjustment and be saving energy along the way. So I would say that's our common thing. Another thing that comes up a lot is, some of you may get those notices from Excel comparing you to your neighbors. And that usually sets off, when we hear from people, it's usually a little bit of a panic, like I'm using twice as much energy as my neighbors, what's going on? And so I try to calm people down and say, well, let's talk about your household. It may not be a good comparison to your neighbors. So for example, if you have folks home all day in your home and that other household has someone who's gone all day or maybe gone for weeks at a time, for work or something, we talk about what's reasonable based on your unique household. So, it's kind of setting some standards around what would be feasible given the number of people that live in your home, how big it is, all of those kind of unique characteristics.
One other quick thing I'll just throw out, when Matthew was talking about the infrared and the blower door test, I had mine done on the coldest day in February. It was like -20, and you could definitely see the difference. And I learned, I thought it was wall insulation, outer wall insulation that might have been an issue, but it was actually some inside wall. We have high ceilings and dropped attic sort of walls that come down a bit, and it's those attic walls that are the issue. So it was super helpful to have that view, because then that helped direct us on where to save, do the money savings piece. All right, Kay or Rich, do you have any questions for our speakers tonight?
I was just gonna say, I was wondering if I'm the only non-speaker here. I just following on Beth's comment, what we found, so I had a 1920 house. My last house was a 1920, this is an 86, so we're gonna do another thing here. But what we found actually is the worst leakage and the biggest win was a rim seal. So we're one of those 1920 houses scattered around Northfield, where you've got kind of 1.5 story above ground, and then you have half of the basement above ground. And the rim, like under the subfloor, was unsealed, and we were losing a lot of heat through the basement, which was completely uninsulated. Above ground, above the basement, like starting about 3 feet above ground, there was decent cellulose insulation in the walls. We tried to get that fished out and replaced, but they told us the expense of taking out the cellulose, especially with vermiculite, possible asbestos in there, was cost prohibitive. I mean, you can add insulated siding on the outside, but they said, oh, do the rim joist seal. And it's like spray foam all around the basement. And not only did it decrease our heating bill, but it dealt with some of the flooding in our basement, strangely enough, because it dealt with some of the warmth in the basement, and the snow melt was just different. Bizarre things happen when you properly seal a house.
Yeah, that's actually so great to hear, Rich. We recommend sealing that rim joist area all the time, because basically when hot air leaves your home through the attic, cold air gets pulled in down below through those gaps. It also is a great way to prevent pests from coming in, and you said it helped with water. So yeah, it's pretty like low cost and really effective. So I love to hear that it worked.
And obviously attic sealing, well, proper attic insulation, which means you insulate the floor, not the ceiling, will get rid of ice dams.
Yep.
And my 86 house would probably have the opposite problem. My house is too tight. So now we need ventilation.
Yes. Yeah, Rich, you could come work for the home energy spot if you wanted to. I think you're taking all my talking points, but
Yeah, just the bottom line is the experts will tell you something you don't know, even if you think you're smart.
thanks.
Kay, do you have any questions for our speakers?
I live in a townhome that has a slab. It's on a slab. It is heated in floor with a boiler that is also my hot water heater. I wanted to know, it's getting to the point I should replace that unit. I want to know if there's a more energy efficient approach.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Since you have like a boiler in floor system, we actually find that sticking with that system would be the most efficient option. Basically, when you go to upgrade that boiler, we'd recommend looking for one that's at least 91% efficient. That's kind of like the standard today. And the benefit of that being your water heater as well is if a gas water heater that someone could install is like at most like 75% efficient. So if you have that boiler heating your water and providing heat, that's actually the most efficient setup you can have. And also just having one combustion appliance in your house instead of two reduces the risk for malfunctions and things like that.
Okay.
There exist combination tankless boilers plus radiator heaters. I actually and we got a tankless at my other house. This house, the 86 house, again, talk to the experts. I tried to get Strikes to put in a tankless water heater, and I called someone else. We couldn't. The reason is, I had to go with a traditional tanked water heater because my basement laundry room is small and right next to the garage. And by code, you can't have multiple ventilation penetrations through the wall in a small space. Like either I would have had to have a powered vent go like 50 feet to the entire opposite side of the house, or they just said, no, just get an efficient heater and put a blanket around it. So
Yeah,
you may be surprised what is actually most efficient for your house.
Yeah, it's a good example of how every building is a little bit different, and also why it's important to get professionals in to give advice. And we always suggest getting like multiple quotes. And Kay, look into rebates before you do your replacement as well, because you'll want to know what the criteria are for rebates to make sure that you're getting the right type of equipment, because that can also save you money as well. And the thing is, you pay for these rebates through your bills. There's a line item called resource adjustment on your Excel bill. And that part of that money goes into what's called the Conservation Improvement Program that funds the rebates. So it's not really free money. You've been paying for it all along. So we encourage people to take advantage. And same with the Home Energy Squad visits. That program helps pay for those too. So idea is everyone contributes into this fund. People can save money, save energy, and it kind of helps the whole system.
Yeah, and we do have some links to the rebates on the sustainability page on the city website under the energy tab. And if you can't find anything, you can always check in with me as well. We'll help get you there. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much to our participants tonight and to our speakers. We will have this, we'll get the link to this posted up on the city YouTube. If you missed any pieces or want to watch it again, we'll have that information available. And we thank you so much for your time and attention tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to stop our recording now.